There we go. Okay, since we're just a minute shy and I often forget to start the record button on time, I will just jump in and get it going now.
We were hoping that we could have some introductions and know what club each person is, because I'm not certain I recognize people by their club.
Okay, let's do it. And we do have some people from out of our district.
Right on.
So I think that would be great. Why don't we go ahead and start that now? It is promptly 6 o'clock, so we can just jump in and have people introduce themselves. Nancy, why don't you lead off since you're in charge of this workshop?
Oh my gosh, my knees are knocking. This is Nancy Lucas. I'm in Corvallis and a member of the Corvallis Altrusa Club. I am also the district secretary until this coming May.
Until next month, right?
Well, that would be another way of saying that, yes.
Yeah. Anyone else want to jump in there?
I'm Darlene Campbell. I'm from Green Bay, and I'm a secretary of our local club.
Great, welcome. Thanks for joining us, Darlene.
What district are you, Darlene?
I'm Karen.
What district are you?
Hold on just a second. Whoever's talking. Darlene, what was the question, Dina?
What district are you from?
7.
Great.
Yeah.
Hi.
Okay, now whoever was going to introduce themselves, please jump in.
I'm Karen Fager, and I'm secretary of the Roseburg Club.
Welcome, Karen. Thanks. Let's see. Linda, I'll just see any names I can read. I'll just call off names.
It's easy for you to do it your way. I'm Linda Carter, and I am president at Roseburg.
Great. Dina?
Sorry. I am Dina Burian-Balakla with the Albany, Oregon District 12 Club, and I'm the outgoing president.
Thanks, Dina. Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Jar. I'm with the Appleton Club out of District 7. I'm going to be the incoming secretary. So great. I saw your invite and I decided to jump on.
Right on.
Perfect. Welcome. Glad you're here.
Thanks.
All right. Lynn.
I'm Lynn Norton from the Campbell River BC Canada Club, and I'm the president of our club. Our secretary is supposed to be coming on, but I don't see her yet.
Yeah, she might jump on any minute.
I'm worried she thinks it's at 7.
Uh-oh.
Maybe you can text her?
I did.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thanks, Lynn. Cheryl.
Cheryl from Nanaimo.
Welcome. Good to have you. Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Ring. I'm from District 1, all the way across the country, on the same latitude as you guys. I'm currently international director.
Wow.
Welcome.
Wow.
Glad to have you.
And I'm a big fan of District 12 in your training, so I come to all of them.
You're always welcome to join in. Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy Keller. I'm in District 3 in Florida, and I'm secretary-elect.
Okay, welcome. JJ.
Hi, I'm Esposito. I'm Albany 12, incoming secretary.
Great, welcome. Let's see, is it Marcia or Marcia?
Marcia.
Marcia?
Marcia Summerow, Duluth, Minnesota, incoming secretary. Just joined last November, so.
Oh, good, welcome. Glad you're on. Glad you're an Altrusan too. And let's see, Laura.
Laura Miracle. I'm in New Mexico and I'm the incoming secretary.
So you must be District 10.
That sounds familiar. I've been here for just about a year, so I wasn't sure.
That sounds right. Well, welcome.
Thank
Diane.
Hi, I'm Diane Whitman from District 12 Gig Harbor Club, and I am the current treasurer for the club, the incoming president-elect for the club, and the treasurer-elect for district.
Because you love Altrusa so much, right, Diane?
Because I love Altrusa so much, and last year our secretary resigned after 1 month, and we all had to take minutes, so I'm taking this training, so I know I'm doing it right now.
Good for you. Awesome.
Yeah.
Teresa.
I'm Teresa Price from Abilene, Texas, District 9, and I'm secretary.
Great, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Kathy Keller. We did you, Kathy, right? Okay, yeah, you moved on my screen for some reason. So, Norma. Maybe just listening in. Kathleen Riles, are you there? Norma's there. Okay.
You're muted, Norma.
Can you unmute Norma and let us know where you're from?
This is Nancy. Maybe I can help. I think Norma is here in Corvallis.
Corvallis, perfect. Great. Thank you. All right. And Kathleen, do you happen to be there? No? Okay. Well, we will catch anyone else as they join. So I'm Debbie McBee, Governor of District 12, and I am mostly going to be just changing slides, although Nancy asked me to say a few things tonight on certain pages, but otherwise, Nancy Lucas is the world's most amazing secretary, and you are going to learn a ton from her. She's an outstanding altruisan and has been a phenomenal district secretary for us. So pay attention, ask her questions along the way. I won't be able to see your faces as well since I'll be screen sharing. So just jump in with questions. Is that okay, Nancy, if people ask?
That'd be perfect.
Okay, great. That. All right, then let me screen share here. And oh, where did the PowerPoint go? Okay, let me not screen share here for a minute and find out what happened to the PowerPoint.
So while you're doing that, I'll give,
Yes.
I'll share with everybody a Zoom secret tip. If you're on mute and you want to quickly say something, hold down your space bar and it unmutes you. And when you let go,
Thank you. I did not know that.
Wait. Say that again. I'm sorry.
if you're on mute and you want to speak,
Okay.
press down your space bar. I'm going to let go of my space bar and I press it down and you can hear me again.
That is magical. Thank you very much.
Isn't that magic? I love that.
Okay, I'm going to put this over to small. My screen is not responding well. I'm in a hotel right now, so everything is taking a while, but we'll get there. Okay, and can I get this? There we go. That will work better. Okay, can everyone see the opening slide?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, super duper. So this is the Altrusa Secretary training, and Nancy, go for it.
Okay. Well, I would like to join in, Debbie, with welcoming you. I encourage you to join with questions. This is training that we've put together for specifically District 12, but it is sure it's applicable all across the nation, and we would welcome your sharing this. I'd like to point you toward our agenda. The first item will be, what is the club secretary? The second is the responsibilities of the club secretary. And of course, the third is kind of where you are right now, getting ready to be the secretary. We'll talk a little bit about effective meetings and what's a quorum, because this is so critical to the information that you keep as secretary. Information more about preparing meeting minutes, which is what most of us think about when we're the secretary. Record retention, which is a key element of our clubs being legal and inviting to new members and engaging. The final one will be preparing your successor, which some of you will be in a year and some of you might even be in 2 years. And then we'll talk a little bit about the resources and questions that you may have at the end of the presentation. Can we see the next one, Debbie?
We should be able to. I'm trying. There we go.
Okay, our first item, what is the club secretary? Well, the secretary is the recording officer of the club and the custodian of the records, two very important pieces. Some clubs have both a recording secretary and a corresponding secretary. In my own district, I'm only aware of Pendleton having this kind of breakout. They're a large club with 80 plus members. I'm in Corvallis, which is a club that's probably, in the top third, but not in the top three. And we have about 30, 32 members, and we have just one secretary. However, one iteration we've made to the structure of this role is that we now have two secretaries, and we kind of co-secretary, I guess is how I should describe that role, where one of us takes the board meeting, one of us takes the business meeting, and then we trade off and support one another for the minutes and then also for the other duties as assigned. So your club will have a process in place, and if you're looking at other iterations, I'd be happy to talk to you about some of the things I've seen around the district and read about across the nation, if you're looking at a different way. But most of you will have just one secretary. I want to point out that if you are elected, then you are typically a voting member of the board. If you are appointed, such as I am as district secretary, I am not a voting member of the district board. However, I have every opportunity and encouragement to speak up, share my opinions, make suggestions, encourage others, but I do not vote when we actually get around to an official vote based upon a motion.
For the district board, but within your own club, when you've been club
Certainly.
secretary, you completely participate and vote there.
Because I have been elected as at the club level, but I am appointed at the district level. So an important distinction. If you have any questions at all about that, and you'll hear me say this regularly, check your club bylaws and also our district bylaws to make certain that you have a clear understanding of what your role is. And I do want to point out the note at the bottom, while all Altrusa clubs operate under Altrusa International bylines, each club has its own procedures. These are typically stated in your bylaws and procedures. So your role may differ slightly from the information in this presentation. But the information shared here will apply to most, if not all, District 12 clubs, and some of you who are coming in from across the nation may well find that the majority meets your needs as well. Next slide. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the responsibilities of the club secretary. The club secretary provides a central port of contact for club members, community members, administration, information, and communication. Therefore, the club secretary is an information resource center. I do, when I have been club secretary, I've gotten information from districts, certainly on a regular basis, that either needed action or distribution. I've gotten information from community partners who were interested. I've had information come from people interested in what is Altrusa and maybe I'd like to join. So each of those may come to you. They're not always your opportunity and responsibility to respond, but it's your responsibility certainly to get that out to the people who do need that information. The president does run your meetings, but the secretary will offer assistance in helping to keep track of tasks at hand, certainly the motions made, and any details required to be following up. So one thing that Debbie and I have done at the district level that has worked well is that I have prepared minutes after each meeting. However, I have sent both our vice governor and our governor a separate list of things that we talked about that may have bounced on to the next meeting, maybe follow-up items, so that we can share those and be prepared for our next meeting and get that information out to the people that will be affected by it. That is not an official record. That's just simply a service that we do for one another.
I want to jump in if I can, Nancy. For any of you that are secretaries, when you are the president running a meeting, there's a lot of things going on, people talking, issues that are getting debated, reports being given. And so sometimes things come up, as we all know, in organizations where we need to follow up with it next month or a couple months down the road or whatever. And so Nancy has been phenomenal in keeping a to-do list with who needs to do the to-doing. And so at the end of a meeting, she shares with the board when she sends out the minutes. She sends that to-do list out, as she mentioned. And it's a great reminder because things get lost in our minds as we're getting through a meeting when we're in a position of running a meeting. So it's a great service you can do to your club president if things need to be bumped to another time, just to keep a list or highlight it in your minutes so that you can track that. Thanks, Nancy.
Another key piece of the responsibility of a secretary is to keep the record of all club and board proceedings. These are typically called the minutes. Now, remember that the actions that we take as clubs are legal. We are a legal entity. We do commit money. We do commit opportunity and resources and partnerships. All of that is within the purview of us being a legal entity, and we need to have that recorded in a way that is clear and understandable to anyone who wants to access that records and has the right to do so. So this is the official legal record of the proceeding of a club's meetings is called the minutes. The secretary ensures that all records are kept accurately, including the wording of motions, and we'll be talking more about that as we get into our presentation. Also, you will sign all minutes to establish evidence of the document's authenticity, and we'll talk about how those get approved and corrected if necessary. As secretary, you should keep on file all committee reports, whether they're special committees, just task groups, or if they're standing committees in your club. Some of this activity, in my experience, has been shared with the president, where the president has received and maintained committee reports, but we need to store them in a way that they are accessible and meet that legal requirement. And of course, the minutes and records must be available to members. Any member has a right to examine reports and records of the club within a reasonable time. The secretary maintains and distributes those records as requested. Another key piece we're going to talk about a little bit later is records retention, because people may ask you for a set of minutes or a record that goes back some time, including years, and you need to be able to access that in a timely manner. Other responsibilities, report the names of the conference delegates and alternates to the district secretary. We've just done that process for our conference coming up in May. I reached out mostly to presidents, and then they chose to defer that to their secretary or take the action of getting the delegates and alternates named in the number allowed by their membership back to me, and I prepared a document that listed all of those. The established deadline is always a certain number of weeks before the conference. So that's an important and key piece for secretaries to remember, that will happen each spring for us. You may be asked to help create and distribute agendas. My experience, again, and that's only my experience, that this is often done by the president or the presiding officer at a meeting, but you may be asked to help create and distribute it. And certainly what we talked about with the to-do list and the list of kind of hanging elements will be very helpful in preparing the next agenda. We'll talk a little bit more about agendas and what the flow of the information is there, but you can help with the details and really help your club shine in this area. And of course, you will be responsible for some correspondence. The club secretary, in some cases it's the corresponding secretary, manages the general correspondence of the club. That is not the function of other members, in conjunction with the club president. One thing that you'll hear throughout this discussion is that you must work very, very closely with your club president on setting both precedents and expectations for each other so that they know what things you're going to take and run with, they know what things you're going to bring with them, and they know what are their areas of responsibility. And that's always done at the club president's direction, but I've always found the club presidents I've worked with have been very open to dialoguing on those kinds of things. Remember that club records may have started out as paper, but most of us now are using some kind of an electronic system, either a web-based place. We certainly all use Club Runner, I hope, and Dropbox for those kinds of things. So very important that those things get posted on a regular basis and that they be available to everyone who has the authority to see them.
Nancy, may I?
Yes.
Please, and Governor McBee, may I go back one screen, please?
Sure can.
Hold on here. I lost it here. Hold on a second. Give me a sec. The committee reports. It states they don't necessarily need to be in the minutes. If it's on the president's agenda, those would be in the minutes, correct?
Yeah, so there's a differentiation. Sometimes committees type up written reports and hand them in. So if you have your service committee giving a report during a club meeting, then yes, that brief summary of that report would be included in the minutes. However, if a committee has a full report, unless you're actually using that during the meeting, that would not be incorporated into the minutes. It would be an accessory document that is stored for your club.
Okay, because our agenda states committee reports.
Right.
And my current secretary puts that in our minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's appropriate. If you have your, someone gets up and talks about their the service project, or gets up and talks about the latest fundraiser, and whatever committees are reporting, that summary information would go into your minutes because it's being discussed at your meeting. However, sometimes reports are handed in just as written reports on sheets of paper, and because your committee has been asked to summarize something or whatever, if that's not being actually discussed at the meeting, that is just a separate report. It does get stored, but it's not included in the minutes unless it was brought up at the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Hey,
Debbie, it's Lynn. Can I just say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
When we have a committee meeting, we send out minutes to, and we're assuming that everybody has read them. So the only thing we bring to our meeting is any recommendations. And so is that correct to do it that way, or should we have, I always have all the minutes in my binder, but.
Yeah, that's totally fine to share it that way, to email things out in advance so people can review them. They can bring up questions if they are wondering about something. That's completely fine, Lynn.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Nancy, would you agree?
I certainly would.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay. Next slide then.
Yes, please.
Okay. This is the next slide.
I think we've kind of been here. One of the responsibilities of a secretary may be to call the meeting to order in the absence of the president or vice president. I will tell you, I've never had that experience in a regularly organized meeting. I've certainly done that in committee meetings, but I have never done that at either the district or the club level. But it is a responsibility, and it may be something that your president or vice president may ask you to do that. And you would then be a chairman pro tem. And Debbie's going to tell us just a little bit more about Robert Rules of Orders in just a minute. Another responsibility is the name of newly elected board officers and directors in the group tally and club runner. If you are not familiar with how to enter into this these two programs. It's pretty intuitive, but there is training seminars that are attached to them, and any of us would be happy to help you with that. Very often at district, there will be some kind of presentation that someone can help you directly if you're stuck on entering that data.
Nancy, I'm going to jump in there too, because usually your club treasurers are very familiar with Group Tally. Group Tally is the Altrusa International Membership Database. And so if you as a secretary are not familiar with how to enter data into Group Tally, I'll about guarantee that your former treasurer or maybe current treasurer do know how to do that. But also Altrusa International has a great series of videos and cheat sheets to walk you through that kind of thing. And probably someone in your club already knows that as well. Most other districts don't use Club Runner. Our District 12 does and District 9 does. So Club Runner is not applicable to any of the other districts for people who are on.
I would, if you're from another district, I'd encourage you to take a look at it. I think it's been a big addition to us, but again, that's your district's decision. A final element that will be part of your responsibilities is to maintain the club's permanent records. You always want to have a copy of current bylaws and policies available. Again, we keep those on the websites in most cases, but if someone may ask for a paper copy, and not everybody is online, so that should be something that you can access as if needed. This should include all minutes and any papers of the club designates to be retained with the file. And again, they may be electronic or paper. And we'll talk about retention a little bit further on, and it's based on the International Documents Retention Guidelines, which is available on their website, but we also have it printed here. Okay, now that we've kind of scope of kind of what the job is, and you probably have started this already, because I don't think you would have taken the role of being secretary without kind of scope some of this out. But the first thing I've always done, and it's essential to any new job, is talk with the key people. At the start of your role, certainly talk to your club president. I would talk to both the outgoing and the incoming if it's a time when they are changing that role. Certainly talk with the outgoing secretary and get that person's guidance on what worked for them, what they found valuable, what they may want to suggest as changes, and talk with other board members because you are truly working as a team. Be sure that you understand and agree to the scope of your responsibilities and that you get the necessary records and resources right at the time that you become that person and know how to access them and how to maintain them. Another element that I would start even before I was chosen, I mean, the point at which I was chosen and the point at which I take over the role, and this would be prior to June 1, would be review all available resources. Your club bylaws, your club policies, your position description. For us here in our district, those things are in Club Runner, but they're available in paper form and through other websites elsewhere. And if you have any questions at all, any concerns, then be certain to talk with your president about that and the other leaders. Become familiar with the basics of Robert's Rules of Order. Now, this is something that's been around about 150 years continuously. When I first took this role, I went and looked at it, and it's daunting. It reads about like the book of Leviticus in the Old Testament to me. But there's lots of easy ways to get to it. I went to our local library and I got Robert's Rules of Orders for Dummies. It covered everything that I needed to know in our kind of Altrusa world and a whole bunch more. Also, there's one called Robert's Rules of Orders in Brief. Some of these elements are online as well, and some are you may want to have a paper copy, but do understand how the basic Robert Rules of Orders run meetings and maintain adequate records. And of course, wonderful resources are international and district websites. Do become familiar with those. Just cruise around inside there. It's the web addresses are here if you don't have them already. Look particularly at preparing minutes, points of order, and of course your club president's handbook. Debbie, would you talk a little bit about this?
I sure will. So the goals of a meeting are to transact business in a timely manner through majority rule while maintaining the minority's right to participate, which leads into a bit of basic Robert's Rules of Order stuff. We'll start with what's a quorum. So a quorum is the minimum number of members required to transact business. When the president calls a meeting to order, a quorum must be present for you to vote on anything. So according to Altruist International bylaws, a quorum at the club level equals 1/3 of your membership. And it is on the secretary and president's responsibility to determine if you do have a quorum present. If you don't have a quorum present, you can still hold the meeting and discuss things, but you cannot officially vote on anything. And then what's a majority vote? Elections and most motions require a majority vote, which is defined as the majority of votes cast. You can't force people to vote. So it's not the number of people present, it's the number of people that choose to vote, yay or nay on an issue. This is a cut and paste of a kind of a cheat sheet type of thing for effective meetings. You want to start the meeting with an agenda and follow it in order. You approve your minutes, and those should be distributed in advance so that people have time to review them. You hear a treasurer's report typically, you get committee reports, you go through, it is called unfinished business, not old business anymore, even though this slide says old business. You move on to new business, and then you do need a voting or a adjournment of the meeting to officially end the meeting. And there are some details on how to make a motion, and I think we have another slide coming up on how to amend a motion.
Okay. Why are meeting minutes important? Well, for lots of reasons. Number one, they provide the official records. Remember that we're talking about doing legal business when we're spending money, when we're making decisions, and we need to create an official legal record of the meeting. The minutes are also keep members informed. Remember, not everybody gets to the meetings. Not everybody hears the same thing at the meeting, depending on what thoughts they come with, what has distracted them. All sorts of elements can keep you and me from hearing different things. So the minutes will keep both club members who attended and those who are not at the meeting informed of important decisions and actions undertaken. And they certainly promote our accountability. Meeting minutes provide a written record of decisions and delegated responsibilities that club members can use as reminders. I have found that having an official document has just made me feel better about taking action. I know when I am empowered to do so. I know who else may be empowered. And I've just felt that it has made us a better bonded group to have this document that outlines what has been decided and what we have made as forward plans.
I want to share a story very briefly with everyone because it's a classic example of why meeting minutes are so important, and particularly for a secretary to record the actual words spoken during a vote. So in our Pendleton Club, which is my home club, 2 years ago, we had an issue come up where we had decided to support a community project in a certain way. 2 electricians were involved, the rest of the club was not involved. And then the people that did it for about a year, those 2 electricians, in their heads started to think that the club had voted to financially support it and to make it an altrusive project. But other people during a particular board meeting were like, no, we didn't vote on that. It was, go ahead and do it and we'll donate money periodically. And what ended up happening, it got a little bit contentious. And I was club parliamentarian at the time. And I said, you know what? The answer lies in what was recorded in the minutes. And so we directed the club secretary to go back and find the minutes when that original discussion had come up. And the vote was it was not that particular secretary, as a previous one, was sort of recorded, but not super clear on whether we were adopting it as a project and financially funding it because it referenced funding and different things. So we ended up bringing up at a club meeting, having a big discussion, having a clear vote to proceed with making this an altrusive project. And it's just a reflection that there are occasions where you may go back a couple years because something comes up currently in a club and you need to refer back to whenever it was originally discussed or voted on. And you want to make sure that the wording, when you record motions, that the wording is accurate on what was actually said.
Good point. 6 steps for managing meeting minutes. Pre-planning, of course, review the agenda well before the meeting. Be familiar with the flow of the meeting, what's intended, what topics will be discussed. If there's any reports that people may turn to you for information, be ready with that. Be certain take record taking during the meeting. I couldn't imagine doing it any differently, but I'm sure there have been somewhere throughout history people who listened intently to a meeting, went home and sat down and tried to do their notes. You just got to do it as a flow. Write the minutes soon after the meeting and submit a draft to your president to review. I know that I have been caught with some errors that were certainly unintentional, and having my president review them has saved me the embarrassment and also made for better, accurate minutes. Distribute the draft meeting minutes to members prior to the next meeting. This you can send out electronically by email or a post to some kind of shared website. It can be in a newsletter, or you can actually do a paper copy. My club actually does both. We do paper copies at the meeting, but they're distributed ahead as electronically. We'll talk a little bit about approval of minutes. And as you flow through the agenda, you will see that one of the key elements up at the beginning after the meeting is first established and a quorum is established, that the president will call for the minute review and ask him for if there's any questions needed to be answered or clarifications made. Don't take your time to read your minutes in the meeting. We want people to have previewed them ahead. Assuming that your minutes are accepted, then you would record in the next month's meeting that the minutes were approved as presented. The chair will have, of course, have given opportunity for all members to discuss anything that they feel needed to be corrected. And then, of course, you will file your approved minutes for future reference, and this will be in your club's policy, whether it's electronic or in a paper file somewhere. But do follow the agenda. This is essentially what you'll see in your agenda is the flow for your minutes as well. So here's the actual flow. Your first paragraph should be your club name, the type of meeting. Is this a board meeting? Is this your regular business meeting? Is this a special meeting cause for a specific cause? The place where the meeting is held. Is this done by Zoom, or was this actually an in-person meeting? The date and the time that the meeting began, because there may be discussion started informally before a meeting is started, but that's not captured in meetings. It's only after the meeting is called to order that we begin taking minutes. Be sure and name the presiding officer and the secretary. It is critical, if there's going to be any voting and you don't know that right up front, that you note whether a presence of quorum or not. And I've always said, if there's been a quorum, I've said the quorum number was met and was maintained throughout the meeting. Your club may determine if you want to record the names of those present. This is generally done just by your precedents in your club. My experience has been, if it's a small meeting like a board or a committee, we have listed everybody who was present. If it's a business meeting, it's just too burdensome to list everybody who happened to be at a business meeting, because that may be 20, 30, 40, 50, or in Pendleton's case, 80. Take your notes in order that business occurs. This again should be the same as your agenda. Be sure that your notes are short, concise, and accurate. Certainly be objective. Remember that you cannot express your opinions in the minutes. You are here to simply record the items that are on the agenda and that are relevant to the business at hand. There is always an element on your agenda for the approval of previous minutes. You'll want to always have a statement of whether the minutes of previous meetings were approved as distributed or approved as corrected. Any correction approved is made in the text of the minutes being approved. So if we're having a meeting now in April and we're reviewing our March minutes, if there is a correction needed to the March minutes, we will do that in the March minutes. And I would have noted it in the April minutes. We'll talk a little bit more on a further slide about how minutes are corrected if necessary. The treasurer's report is always a key piece of any agenda. It's not something that necessarily that is ever approved. It is simply reviewed by the treasurer. I have found it helpful in my minutes to simply say that the treasury report was reviewed, maybe even list the documents, whether it was a balance sheet or profit and loss to date or some such thing. At the district, we talk about a conference budget as well as a district budget. And then I note that those things are available in Dropbox for review. I do not list the numbers of what each report may have listed because, of course, those change almost daily, but those are in Dropbox. The wording of your motion in minutes, this piece is so critical because this is the piece that really drives the legality of what you're doing and the correctness of what you're doing in all aspects. The exact wording of motions and amendments to motions, the name of the maker, the individual who seconds the motion, and the motion's outcome is always recorded. And we'll talk a little bit more about motions, but it's really critical that you get the exact wording. It's often appropriate to, after a motion is made, is to ask the motion maker to repeat it. Or I've actually read back my copy of what I thought that person said to verify that I have gotten the correct wording. But it is absolutely critical that the motion minutes, that the minutes reflect the correct motion. And of course, you always want to include any assignments, leave out discussions. This isn't a time to say who said what or what they thought. But if there are assignments made, certainly record for whom that assignment or committee is assigned and the due date, whether it's an interim due date, we want to report every month on that, or by next meeting, we'll have this, that, or the other activity assigned in a meeting, excuse me, in an assignment. So it is important that you always list the assignments, but do leave out the discussions. Okay, if you have a speaker, you can certainly include that person's name and the subject, but it's not appropriate to apply a capsule view of their discussion or anything that followed. If there's any announcements made during the meeting, then those should certainly be recorded if they are made by the chair or other members of the meeting. And then, of course, you want to record the time that the adjournment, both the date and time. Generally, you adjourn on the same day, although I've been in multiple meetings, multiple date meetings where we've not adjourned till actually after the second or third day. This has been more at the district level. Recording the time of the adjournment is critical because remember, we only are talking about what happened during the meeting, not the time before, not the time after, in which dialogue may or may not have taken place. And of course, you'll always sign by your name and title at the end of the meeting minutes. Minutes, what to include and what's left out. The minutes should include a record of what was done at the meeting, not necessarily what was said by members. In other words, we're not capturing the dialogue. We're not saying this person liked the idea, that person didn't, and what the reasons why. It's simply that we record what was done at the meeting. The minutes should follow the order of the agenda, just we've talked about that already, with a basic summary sentence or two for each item, along with the name of the person who presented it. I've found it helpful to use either bullets or some kind of bold type or something when I've gone from topic to topic to make it easier for whoever is reviewing the minutes to see what the topic titles are and hone in on those that are most relevant to them. Votes taken should appear in their place of order in the agenda with the wording of the motion recorded exactly, and we need to underline that word exactly, along with the name of the maker of the motion and the outcome of the vote. And of course, we also include the name of the person who seconded it. If there's a hotly contested question, simply note after a lengthy discussion. This will indicate that the question was openly debated prior to the decision. Remember, we don't say that one person took this side, one person brought up that point related to it. It's simply after a lengthy discussion. The secretary should provide an unbiased, equitable view of the meeting, goes without saying, and be correct and can be corrected at any time a mistake is discovered, even years later. Your minutes can be reopened and corrected. We have a process for doing that. It's part of Robert's Rules of Orders, and it's something that you should become somewhat familiar with in case you do need correct prior minutes. What's not to do, don't write a transcript, don't include personal comments, don't include direct quotations, because this, again, does not it does make a person identifiable. And remember, these are open discussions, and we don't want to build animosity. Don't report details of discussions. And if a motion is withdrawn, it is not included in the minutes. So let's talk a little bit more about motions. Excuse me, let's go back to guiding to correcting minutes.
This one or the next page, sorry.
Yeah, let's go to the next one unless anybody has a question.
May Dina ask a question?
Go for it, Dina.
May we please go back to the last sentence of the last slide, please?
Yep.
If a motion is withdrawn, it is not included in the minutes. How come?
Because it doesn't officially exist. So if I say I move that we spend $200 on the playground project, and then it gets discussed a bit, but then I'm like, you know what, that's a bad idea, or I didn't realize we don't have enough money, I withdraw my motion. It essentially never existed. Now, if it is moved, seconded, and voted on, it absolutely existed. It absolutely gets recorded. But if someone starts the process and then takes it away, it's like it never happened.
So the person that starts that, Governor, has to be the one that withdraws it?
Correct.
Thank you.
Only the maker of the motion can withdraw their motion.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And it has to be withdrawn before you vote on it.
Yes, ma'am.
There's other processes if it's been voted on that you can go and rescind it. But yes, the maker of the motion is the only one that can withdraw the motion.
Okay, thanks, Governor.
Okay. If you need to correct previous minutes, remember that the contents of the original minutes must not be altered because they have been approved minutes. Corrections to the minutes, such as a wrong date, misspelled name, need not be noted in the current minutes, but should be corrected using the strike-through feature and the correction noted. I did that recently in some district minutes where I misspelled the name of a person who was going to speak, and it was brought to my attention later on, and so we corrected it through this strike-through process. Remember that nothing is ever erased from minutes once they are approved. If material is expunged, use the strike-through feature with the correction noted. These corrected minutes that become the permanent copy and should never be destroyed, as they are the legal records of the preceding club, true of all minutes. Minutes are noted as either approved as distributed and read or approved with corrections, and this is done in the next set of minutes and when you refer back to the previous months in most cases. And always the secretary signs the minutes and corrected minutes, and this authenticates the document. It's not too often that you'll need to correct minutes, but it's important information to have. Okay, voting in motions. Now, this is often handled by your presiding officer, but critical information for as secretary to know. The 6 steps in handling a motion. A member obtains the floor and makes a motion, and the chair recognizes that person by name. The member states their name and presents the motion, and the correct language is, "I move that." This is so critical that the secretary record exact wording of any motions and the maker of the motion. And often you may have to stop at that point to clarify that you have the correct wording recorded. Another member seconds the motion. A second does not mean that the member agrees. It just means that you agree that the item is worthy of discussion. The chair states the question. It is moved and seconded that, and restates that motion. And then
I'm going to jump in here for a minute, Nancy,
Uh-huh.
just to clarify for people. So, the burden is on the secretary to document the actual wording of a motion. But just as importantly, that burden is really on the chair of the meeting, usually the club president, to state and restate the motion before it's voted on. Every member in your club should clearly understand what is actually being voted on, what the actual wording is. And that then, if your chair does that, then that makes it very easy for the secretary, because the original maker of the motion stated their motion, and they can't say "so moved." That doesn't actually say anything. That is not appropriate. Don't let that happen in your club. But then the chair should restate whatever the actual wording of the motion was. And again, it gets restated by the chair right before it's put to a vote. So there's plenty of opportunities for the secretary to make sure that they have the actual wording of the motion.
May I please add to that?
Yeah.
My 2 cents, and thank you, Governor, on that. And if you're the chair or the president and you're not sure, and you have a parliamentarian, that is also their responsibility and their job to help you. I had a meeting last week. I've been a president for going on 2 years now. I wasn't sure. I turned to Sarah and I said, "Help me." And because I wasn't wording it correctly. So Sarah told me what to say. I reset it and we were good to go.
Good. That's awesome.
I'm glad
Thanks
that
for sharing that,
happened to you.
Dina.
Okay. So after the chair has stated the question, the members debate the motion. Remember that the secretary should not be recording any elements of that. You certainly, as a member of that group, have the right to share your personal opinions, but neither your personal nor the stated opinions and options of others are recorded. When the discussion is complete, the chair restates the motion and puts the question to vote. And the correct language for that, is good presiding officers know, is all those in favor of adopting this resolution say aye. And then, of course, no, and we do not pull out any abstentions. And then the chair announces the result, and the secretary should record the result of that vote. The chair reports on whether the vote was affirmative or negative. And if it was negative, then the motion passed and was lost before moving on to the next item of business. Okay, storing your club records. Minutes must be available to all members after they have been approved. When they are in draft form, I've run them by the president to get concurrence that I have done so with accuracy. Then we, of course, get them approved at the next available meeting after distributing them either electronically or on paper, but giving people time to review them. According to Altrusa International and their records retention document, which is on the website under the governance tab. We have a slide of that coming up, but do use that resource. Also, your club policies will dictate how minutes are distributed and stored. They may be in email, paper, on a website such as Dropbox or Club Runner. Clubs that have been established for some time probably have a mix of both. In the old days of when I was only middle-aged, we did paper. Now that I'm a senior citizen, it's all electronic. Be careful that you always have a paper copy in case the electronic world goes to outer space on us. And minutes of all meetings, and this includes both business meetings and board meetings, must be archived for future reference. And that again is in our record retention documents. Okay, here's the International Record Retention Guidelines. Note how many things are permanent. Permanent means longer than you and me. You can store them in archives, some you can store electronically, some you can do both. But the where to store is the source document on this, and then you can also store in other places. Again, this is an excellent resource, and it's on the altrusa.org website and available for you 24/7. International guidelines regarding financial records. In most clubs, the treasurer is the one who records and places financial records in a Dropbox or whatever. But remember that you are the custodian of records, and it's your responsibility to make certain that that happens. Just like in the tax world, most things are 7 years minimally, and I do emphasize minimally. So this would be any of your records that have to do with donors, investments, businesses, any kind of financial records at all. It's typically 7 years. That would be, again, minimum 7. Club archives records. This may be in your bylaws. It should be. The archives can contain many other items that will provide historical significance. We've been looking at that at the district level this past year or so as we get ready for our celebration of the number of years that we've had District 12 in place in Altrusa. So do look at your club archive records, and it will be in your bylaws and in your historical data for your club. And here's the kinds of things that are included in your club archive records.
And actually, some of that information may more likely be found in club policies than bylaws. Bylaws may state that, but some of these kinds of things are specified in club policies. So you can check both places just to see wherever that information is in your club.
Preparing your successor. This will be, as I say, maybe this time next year, maybe a little bit farther out than that. But as you go through this process of becoming a club secretary, think about how you can be most helpful to the person who will follow in your shoes. Certainly as you work with that person, once they have been identified, that you want to review with them all the administrative procedures and how the club's records are filed. After the last meeting in May, you turn over all those kinds of documents that you may have, including any login codes and locations for electronic records. Before your term in office ends, make certain that the club records are current and materials are orderly for your successor. And here's a list of questions that you can use to start that process. Looking at your minutes, your membership, your board meetings, files containing constitutional documents, charters, and clubs. Are they complete and up to date? Have you placed copies of all necessary reports in the appropriate club files? And if you have club equipment that is within your jurisdiction of control, this may be a club banner like we take to a conference or any other kinds of activities, including stationery. Make certain that you have that ready to pass on to your successor. And our final slide, useful resources. These are things that have been so helpful to me, and I'm sure to other people who have passed through this. Certainly your outgoing club secretary will be a major resource to you. Your club president and board, if they're turning over at the time that you're becoming the secretary, do talk to the former president and board informally, as well as the oncoming. I'm listed here as a resource, even though I'll no longer be the District 12 secretary in another month. But please contact me anytime that you feel I can be of help to you. Therese Gurud is now Therese Eden in Longview Kelso. She has been a remarkable parliamentarian and bylaws chair, wonderful resource, and will help you research things. There's all sorts of material that is available online or in printed form, including official bylaws, president's handbooks, our famous Robert Rules of Order, things on our website, things on the international website. Be sure and review your club secretary position description and any historical records of your club. So we are
also
to end at
toss
7
out
o'clock,
is,
and I'm up at 6:59.
yeah, you did perfect.
Do we have any questions? Are you excited about your new role? I've enjoyed it very much. I want to acknowledge that I'm a bit bittersweet at leaving the district. It has been a wonderful experience for me. I've loved working with Debbie. She's been remarkable in every aspect. But it's been a learning experience. I've made friends that I never thought that I would, and it's only been because I've been an officer in Altrusa. So I wish you to have as much happiness and satisfaction that I have had in my role. Questions, concerns, welcome aboards. You're going to love your job. I know you are.
May I comment?
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
always
Dina.
can comment, Dina.
I know, and I'm not going to apologize. As a new president 2 years ago, I've been a volunteer for years and years and years and years and years. And JJ, do not take any whatever to this right now, because I wrote everything down. I still do. I took 7 pages tonight writing things down. I had a phenomenal secretary. I still do. And my secretary currently will become my new incoming president. And I want to give kudos to JJ. The last 6 months plus, she has attended my board meetings and sat next to Jody Mancuso, my current secretary, and learned what to do and so on and so forth. That's been, I hope it has helped you, JJ.
Good for you, JJ.
Yeah. And I want to give the Robert's Rule of Order. I have a really cute, quick story. When I was a kid in my mom's bathroom, she had this little plaque, and I've told Debbie this. It was this little video thing or a little frame of the top 10 Robert's Rule of Orders. And,
because everyone has something like that in their bathroom, right?
My mom's weird. I'm almost 65 years old. It was when I was a kid. I can still picture this. So when I went to conference, when Governor McPhee became governor, and I went to her Robert's Rule of Orders little workshop thingy, it brought back these memories. Right now, I have Robert's Rule of Orders on every one of my agendas. It's short, it's sweet. I remind them, here's the rules. And again, I want to stress, if you have a parliamentarian, utilize them, because I didn't know until I became president that I got this person behind my back takes care of all this stuff for me. Just my 2 cents though, but Robert's Rule of Order is, yeah.
It makes a big difference.
It
Thanks,
does.
Dina.
It truly does.
It's a nice framework.
I have one book that's almost 200 pages. And I thought, I'm not reading that. So I ordered something else. But at Governor McPhee's workshop, I think, Debbie, you gave us what, a little like 10 or 20, 2 pages. Short, sweet, and bullets.
Yep.
Utilize that, you guys. I swear it helps a lot.
Debbie, could you send that out? Do you still have that?
I sure do. And some of it we put onto the district website, although I don't think we didn't have Club Runner when I did that particular workshop. So yes, I will make myself a note right now. I am out of town until partway through next week.
Oh, no rush.
And it's, I'm sure, on my computer, but I will get that sent out. The workshop flyer from it.
Yeah, if it's easy to locate. I know you're busy.
Yeah.
I did find a 2-page one online that I have printed out and given to everybody, but
yeah,
I just wanted to see what, maybe yours is better. Thank you.
I can share that with club presidents and anyone on this call.
Yeah, perfect.
And for, you know, any incoming secretaries or whatever. So you
Yeah.
bet we can totally
We
do that.
actually have 2 parliamentarians this year.
Hey, good.
Sweet. Good for
Good for
you.
Campbell River.
Yes, we're getting there.
Awesome.
job,
That's
Lynn.
great. Very good. Anyone have anything that we didn't cover that you are still wondering about, or?
I think this was
No.
excellent, and I hope that you can please share the information you just discussed and any recording of the video with the participants. Where I am, it's 10 o'clock and I have to be up at 5:30, so I've got to go.
Off to bed.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us, Kathy.
Thanks,
I
Kathy.
will get this recording transferred over, and also we'll share the PowerPoint. We have a lot of hotel deadlines with our conference this week, and so I didn't get the president's one from last week sent out, but in the next few days, probably early next week after Easter weekend, I will make sure, and tomorrow's treasurer's workshop, we'll get all that stuff sent out by early next week, at least if I don't get to it before then.
Yeah, no rush, like I say. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. It's been a
you.
pleasure talking with you all and seeing so many people from around the nation for joining us. We love District 12, and I'm very glad you were with us.
Thank you.
Nancy, thank
Nancy,
for
you
your
did a
last
super
2
job.
years.
Thanks for
Thank you
leading
so
this
much.
tonight.
Thanks for
Thank
saying
you
that.
very much. Appreciate
Safe
it.
travels,
Thank you.
Debbie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Here, where is my recording?